Yeah, just opposite ends of our range. So I don't discriminate between either end of the range. We are here, however, in Cosmic Sapphire, and looking to raise some hell in the top left-hand side of the map. It is yo boy, Hellraiser.
And looking to rebel from the Shopify Rebellion, it is Lambo.
We're talking about Halloween and scary movies. Harston brought it up. Hellraiser perhaps looking to make his impression of the Silence of the Lambros.
Oh, that works too, because Hellraiser is actually a villain in something. Oh man, I'm gonna get ripped up in the chat for not knowing what he's a part of. But oh, look at that, we got the little group standings there. Love always seeing those. Of course, Hellraiser at 1-1, Lambo at 1-0. In case you missed out on anything. Obviously, this early on, it's too early to tell who's gonna, really come out of the group based on standings alone, but we can kind of look at form of players and tell usually pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure. And you were mentioning also Hellraiser is a clever player. Lambo is a very intelligent player in his own right, but I think there are different types. There are different types of cleverness, if you will, in the sense that Hellraiser can be a little bit more of a creative player. Like I can identify with his playstyle a little bit more in that he will have like one or two cheeky builds from time to time that are very difficult to anticipate, very difficult to stop, very new to anyone that sees him. Whereas Lambo's knowledge, Lambo's intelligence manifests more in structured form, right? Over time, it's like he wants to know what the best way to react to something is. He has like more prepared responses. And that is the type of thing that can fold against something that he hasn't seen before, right? So we'll see if Hellraiser has some of that. Already in the largest map in the map pool, he opens with a Nexus Gateway Scout. So as greedy as you can be. And also with a Zealot. If he drops a Stargate in the Wall-Off, this is how I like to play PvC, so I will absolutely love it, because it's as greedy as you can be. So he can make an Adept to secure a very early fast third, and just keep the Zealot instead that he made early on to kind of hold the wall. So it will be a Stargate in the main, however, so that means most likely he will have to choose a Gateway here in the Wall-Off.
Yeah, very interesting, because this is traditionally a two-building wall. So he could have just used the two buildings and just gone with that and been fine. Something else that's very interesting, by the way, is the opener Hellraiser chose. He elected to delay his gases. Elected to delay both his gases and go straight up to the Nexus. This is something that was kind of tinkered about with for like 2 weeks to maybe not even a month, maybe more like 2 to 3 weeks, where Protoss players were like, oh, there's this new build. Harding came up with it. It's Gate Nexus, then you get your double gas, then you go Cybernetics Core, and it's a little bit like slightly more economically focused, but very quickly afterwards, the players were like, it's not that big of a difference. It's not that great. It slows down your tech a little bit, but I like that Hellraiser he is digging into his bag of tricks and saying, okay, I'm going to mix things up just a little bit. I'm going to mix up the timings a little bit. You deal with this.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because again, Lambo is a structured player. He is a more adaptive player than other structured players, like say Laser, right, who has very, very rigid responses. So Lambo will be able to adapt a little bit more on the fly, but this is already a big wrench from Hellraiser. Uses the Void Ray first to make sure that there's no more information coming from the side of Lambo. He's just going to be looking for Overlord side on the map with his Void Ray, and then going straight into a 2-carrier rush.
Yep. This is going to be difficult to figure out. You have to assume that Hellraiser's probably going to go for a +1 air attack with this, but if he does, that does make it a little bit easier to scout. If he doesn't, it's more difficult to scout, but it's not going to have as much punch with those first 2 carriers, and it looks like he is going to forego that +1 air weapons, or even that those first 4 carriers really is when that +1 usually finishes. Oh! Okay. No, this is a Tempest Rush. All right. This is the 5 Tempest Seismic Destabilizer play. So you can use this 5 Tempest will one-shot a Queen, and with that Tectonic Destabilizer, you truck hatcheries.
Yeah, as well as Spores. So yeah, those Tectonic Destabilizers, I just learned the name of that upgrade just now. Yeah, really good against the buildings here. So we'll see if Hellraiser is able to do something. The hard counter to this would be a Spire. So look out for that. If Lambo can find himself with some Corruptors out on the field, which will be a little bit unintuitive given the Void Ray opening, he will be in a fantastic position to just crush this. But he's going to have to smell it.
Yeah, and another aspect of this that once again goes back to kind of what I was saying is that it is more difficult to scout this with the lack of a +1 air. So Lambo can't just look at the Cybernetics core, see that it's spinning, and say, oh, okay, you're going for quick air. Ooh, he is going to start a very quick Spire. So he is at least going to be prepared for this. This could be for him to go Mutas himself, but I think this is also a bit of a let me cover my own bases. Oh, and with his Lings placed all over the map, actually, hang on. The Ling did get cleared. This won't get seen until... Yeah, he's going to see it basically right now at the Watchtower.
Yeah, okay. That's early enough, though, because his Spire is already halfway done. He just has to buy time for the Spire. He can afford to lose a Hatchery even if he wanted to, but I don't think that that'll necessarily happen here. The Queens are pretty far forward here, and the Tempests are not all together yet. So actually, one of them taking a lot of hull damage here. A couple of Transfuses still remaining on those Queens. And then we're going to see Corruptors flooding on, and yeah, this is going to get really difficult for Hellraiser, just simply because this is a tricky opening, designed to catch your opponent off guard, and it's just not.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that 5th Tempest yet, so those Transfuses are able to keep the Queens alive here. He's buying so much time for this Spire. Lambo is now out of Transfuses. He tries to save that Queen. Very unfortunate that he actually went for the Transfuse there, because he didn't get enough HP to keep it alive against the 4 Tempest.
Muta.
Kind of a funny number. This is actually traditionally a weird response, because usually the follow-up is Void Rays. Mutas is very interesting. What do you make of this?
I personally think Corruptors are just the easy shutdown to this, because, you know, Tempest just cannot fight Corruptors at this stage, and you know that your opponent is on 2 Stargates. But yeah, I mean, Muta will do the job, I suppose, and that's good enough. It offers Lambo some aggressive potential as well, so there's that going for him. Here come the Muta. Recall will have to be spent right away here from Hellraiser, so he's bunching up his units. We'll go for the recall. 1 Tempest already falling, and Lambo again has map control and has the option to cross the map with those Muta, but Hellraiser with the double Stargate starts the double Phoenix production as well as the range upgrade for those Phoenix. So, I personally would have made Corruptors, but Lambo is, Lambo. So let's see how this unfolds.
He is going to be able to get in on top of this Stargate almost immediately. Gets one of those Phoenixes very low. The second one will fall.
Wow.
The Tempests are actually going to help out a little bit, and so too will that cannon and the units in the back there. But at the front line, Lambo just jumps him.
Yeah, and no battery overcharge spent there, and one of the Archons was out in the open, which allows for all of the Lings to surround it right away. So both of those Archons falling very quickly now. And now Hellraiser, I think you just move with the Tempest at the front and try to micro against the Muta with the Phoenix is what I think would be the best way to approach this. And yeah, I mean, those Muta, did they really pay off for themselves? I'm not too sure, but Lambo's still in a wonderful position here to close out the game here. If he can't, however, Hellraiser will stabilize, and we will see a longer game, potentially with things in his favor if Lambo doesn't manage to do enough damage, but this looks pretty deadly.
It looks super deadly right now, especially the fact that Hellraiser is going for more Phoenixes, not switching to Void Rays after seeing a pretty big ground transition. He is going to be able to lift up some of these Ravagers, but the Corrosive Biles will already clip away at the Phoenixes. The army is getting slowly but surely picked away at. The question is, does he take too much damage in the meantime?
Yeah, not so far is the answer, but the Roaches are still encroaching on forward, looking for some more probe damage here. Zealots being warped in the mineral line, but it's not going to be enough. Hellraiser is going to yield, and Lambo will take the game after killing 20 probes there. I think that could have gone a little bit poorly for Lambo, though. I feel like the Muta didn't really do much else than distract from the ground attack there. And the ground attack, maybe it wouldn't have worked as well as it did, say, if the first Archon doesn't get surrounded and picked off right away, right? If it's hugging the other Archon to where the Lings are having to kind of just pull up together and take shots from both Archons at the same time, not getting those full surrounds. If there is a shield battery overcharge to hold a little bit more comfortable at first, right? Then you can deal with the Muta a little bit easier. Then you can maybe look to hold this attack a little bit easier on the follow-up, and we could have a different game in our hands. But yeah, I mean, good job.
I agree. And two, in the defense of Hellraiser, You are right. He should have had his units positioned better at the third base, but I would never expect that.
Yeah.
An attack at the front almost instantly as the mutas show up. Like the mutas showed up, and then within 10 seconds, there was a pretty decent-sized ground army already coming at you. And good on Lambo for really getting the units together at an unexpected timing. Now, I am surprised that it wasn't a Void Ray follow-up from Hellraiser. He went straight up into the charge Archon because, like you said, Corruptors are the easy answer. They are the easy answer to the Tempest. So usually we see those Corruptors and then Void Rays to follow up. I wonder what would happen if Hellraiser had switched into Void Rays, maybe right as soon as he realized he was going to kill all of the Phoenix. Maybe he makes a hold there.
All the muta? All of the muta?
All the muta.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, so difficult to judge. Like, obviously, in Hellraiser's position, I think that the ideal situation is that your opponent just starts Aspire when they spot the Tempest, but Lambo had already smelled it from a mile away, right? So he really had a lot less time than most Protoss players would have in an ideal situation. He even made the Void Ray first to try and deny information, but I mean, these players play against each other on the ladder, right? Like, they know each other for years. So maybe Lambo was just expecting something like this and has the Spire ready. And from that position on, it's already very difficult for Hellraiser. I think you're spot on that Lambo's best trait to the aggression that he had there was the fact that it was such a quick 1-2 punch with a muta followed by those roaches and lings.
Yeah. All right. And we have spawning down on the bottom left. It's Hellraiser.
And in the top right-hand side, it is the king for the Shopify Rebellion, Lambo.
Yeah, it was a really interesting setup overall. It feels like a lot of hidden mind games below the surface on this one. Ooh, okay, we got to talk about game number 2. Hellraiser goes for the scout and goes for a Nexus first. I wonder, I was going to say, I wonder if he might go for a cannon rush behind this. Oh, this is cute, yeah.
Yeah, this is very much the type of opening I think that could grant him an advantage on maybe a game against the likes of Lambo. This is a very daring pylon on this side. I was expecting it a little bit further because this pylon is it's just down the ramp, right? Which gives your opponent an option to use that ramp to, that's why. That's beautiful. All right, so that all makes sense now. Just 2 pylons to wall off the cannon here, a very unusual position for Hellraiser. So he was probably praying that Lambo would take this triangle third, and a very cost-efficient cannon rush here on the side of Hellraiser, who's also going to confirm that there's another hatchery going down at the natural. So Lambo, I was going to say, was very likely to cancel that hatchery.
Yeah.
I almost ate my words there because Lambo waited until the last possible second, but yeah, Hellraiser identifying that very quickly, very well, and it's just going to cost him 1 cannon. I would even cancel the cannon just because
I was going to say,
position.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind a cancel on the cannon because it's not going to do much for you. It's not going to prevent drones from going down to that third base. It's not going to keep the Zerg penned in their natural or their main base. Like, it's already achieved its objective. Why not just get the money back and get the maximum value out of it? The only thing I'll say is maybe he wants to save the pylon for a little while, but he has so much supply anyways, there's actually no benefit.
Yeah, exactly. Like almost every time when you do a cannon rush, you want to keep the cannon because it holds the position. But in this particular position, as we're gonna see Lambo go for it, because there is high ground vision, like we were mentioning before, the Queen will take no damage here, killing this cannon, right? So it is just a waste.
Yeah, exactly. There's no additional measures that Lambo. Yeah, no trade. No additional measures that Lambo needs to make in order to kill that cannon off. It's just a freebie kill. And it will take a little while, and, but it doesn't actually do anything in that meantime. It doesn't advance Hellraiser's position.
Not at all. Yeah.
But I understand why he doesn't cancel it. You're just thinking to yourself, like, you've got your game plan. You're like, okay, you've already, as a part of this, devoted the resources out, so I understand why he doesn't cancel it. But brilliant move from Hellraiser. Coming in with that, he gets himself a really nice economic lead as a result of that. That is well done.
Definitely. That is a minimal investment. So as much as he didn't need to waste those 150 resources after the fact, they are very well justified within the strategy, right? Like, that is a fine price to pay to cancel your opponent's hatch first. So It ends up working out for him regardless. It just could have been that much, just a tiny bit better, but whatever. He's going to be in a fine position, already taking a very fast third here himself and starting +1. You love to see it. This is what I want to see from Hellraiser, right? Like this is what you want to see from Hellraiser. If he's going to take a game, if he's going to stand any chance at taking a series against Lambo, it's going to be through trickery. It's going to be through playing a little bit different than everyone else. Not to say that upgrades are like very unique in this matchup at this point in time. In fact, they can be kind of the standard, but the way that we've gotten there and the speed at which we're getting there is very cool. He's using that very early forge as early as he can.
Yeah, and I love it. I gotta echo your sentiment. It's something you even referred to in the pregame, where you were saying the best way for Hellraiser to try and take down Lambo is to make things deviate from the path, so that Lambo's extraordinary game plan and excellent understanding of standard play and whatnot isn't quite as easily recognized. Now, Lambo is still good at adapting, make no mistake, but I do agree. I think this is Hellraiser's best theoretical shot to make something happen in this series.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Lambo is very good at adapting, like you're saying, but he's even better at planning. He's even better at just, the knowledge that he has cemented over the years and what he knows, right? Like, and if you throw a wrench to where he's seeing something that he doesn't know, there is room for error still. And Hellraiser throwing some adepts into his opponent, and I don't mind that. It's going to force out additional units from Lambo. Actually goes for the shade. Now that is a little bit surprising. Gets one drone for his troubles, but that's going to be it. Was looking for that choke, but only one adept makes it into the choke, while 3 others are exposed to be taken down by the Lynx easily. So I like the adepts moving out. I didn't like the commitment as much.
Yeah, I would have been fine with the commitment if he had seen that there was no Lings from Lambo. Like if he had maybe caught Lambo expecting a bluff. Yeah. That'd be one thing, but the Shade saw that the Lings were right on top of them, and yeah, I got to agree, that was an unnecessary commitment. And the thing is, Lambo didn't even overbuild Lings, so it just ends up being that his Lings are even more perfectly justified. That's just a nice little exchange for Lambo. Behind this, he is going to be going for a lot of units. He's really anticipating a big attack from Hellraiser here, it looks like.
And he would be right. I mean, Hellraiser is adding an additional 4 gateways. He is still transitioning into that +2 attack. And Blinkstalkers, of course, are going to be able to trade just fine. Maybe a little bit overeager, blinking all of them for those vials. Doesn't want to take any damage, but now has to be a little bit careful to make sure that he's waiting for the next blink available. Got to be careful with that Observer, as the Spore is going to be in range. And here comes the next set of vials. A lot of Stalkers here, however. I'm not sure that Lambo wants to be chasing off of creep. And he is going to retreat now.
He is. This is a very interesting setup because this feels like hero style, but it's not, because we don't have a Stargate, so there's no Oracle. So if Hellraiser ever overcommits and Lambo gets the opportunity to truly jump on him, he might just completely rout the army. Hellraiser, he is stepping pretty far forward on the creep. He is doing a good job of clearing that creep, but this might be that moment I was just talking about. A lot of his Stalkers are on the cooldown for Blink. A huge Corrosive Bile just landed on a lot of them.
Yeah, that was massive. He's going to have to bide his time now and wait for those shields to regenerate at the very least. But yeah, this attack, I mean, you like to see it from Hellraiser. It is a fairly committed attack, but he drops a 4th behind it. He is going to have +2 to work with pretty soon here. And what I would love to see next, if not to have already happened, is to make some wall-offs at his 3rd base. Because if the game is going to progress, you know that Lambo is going to go for Baneling speed. You know that he is going to be looking for those probe lines later down the line. Lambo really likes to ram armies into the Protoss opponent and look for those economic victories while kind of contesting the army.
Loses the Observer to the Corrosive Biles. That was a brutal unforced error right there. Good job from Lambo to get that pick off. But yeah, sorry, continue your point.
Oh, that was more or less the end of it. Lambo will now start the +1 melee. So he's going to be far behind as far as like trying to make those Baneling Rambis work really. But yeah, I would still like for Hellraiser to situate himself with some wall-offs at one of his bases so that he can defend the other one a little bit easier. These Zealots are not going to find anything either. Oh, maybe a Queen.
Ooh. Not quite. I like the positioning with a couple of the Zealots, and he is getting into the main base with a nice warp-in right here. So this is the fundamental style of hero, where you use that low-tech, high-speed army, and you just try and really outmaneuver your opponent. Lambo so far is dealing with this quite well, though.
Yeah, the Stalkers unfortunately weren't in position to really capitalize, though. They were just kind of sitting there while this was going on. So now as they move on forward, they couldn't really capitalize. Like I was saying, but actually Lambo with a little bit of a blunder here. He doesn't send enough units to the main. He overreacts to the Stalkers at the third. And Hellraiser, I mean, he gets a little bit more value for his travels. He's still trailing in supply very much so. But that was pretty good. That Warperson's pretty happy.
Yeah, now it is important to note that he used a lot, he spent a lot of resources to make that happen. He has lost a lot of Zealots in this game, 20 Zealots in this game, and all of them in about the last, 45 seconds to a minute right here. So like you said, there is a huge supply lead for Lambo, and he weathers the storm, and now he's got a massive timing. He's maxed out. He's going to have +1 melee. He's got Bane speed. He's got a huge army. And Hellraiser really just has one Disruptor and a hell of a lot of Gateway units to try and hold this. And actually, he has no idea where the army is. Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, this probe could have been a hero, but I don't think he even spots it. In fact, he drops a Nexus right inside of Lambo, and now completely out of position is Hellraiser. This base sure to follow. Hellraiser has a decision to make here. Does he counterattack? Does he recall back and try to defend? It's a little bit late to not take any damage, so I like the counterattack idea here. Lambo's actually gonna pull back, but he does leave enough army, I believe, to take down the hatchery there. So Hellraiser wants to kill this hatchery, as many drones as he can, and then maybe try to recall out. Lambo not looking to collapse just yet, but at least he has kind of strayed away from the pressure on the other side of the map, and Hellraiser going for another pickoff. Now Lambo looking to collapse onto the army. Where's the recall? There it is. And some of the units will be left stranded, but not too bad for Hellraiser. Can he cancel that Nexus? No.
Oh, no. Unfortunate loss right there. It's good that, Hellraiser picks off 2 hatcheries, but he just got knocked down into 3 bases himself and lost a lot of Stalkers to make that happen.
Yeah.
And Lambo really didn't lose much army at all. If we look at the resources lost, it is significantly in favor now of Lambo. And as long as he just plays calm, doesn't overreact, re-expands, even I would say take a 6th base behind this, just build 3 hatcheries at once, maybe even go up to a hive, make sure he got those Vipers to be able to deal with some of the Disruptors. He's going to be totally fine. Hellraiser is going to need the Disruptor shots of a lifetime.
Yeah, and it's going to be so difficult with Lambo coming here from multiple angles. And the first Disruptor shot does catch a couple of Ravagers. I mean, on paper, that's pretty good, but it's not going to be good enough, as Lambo is still basically supply maxed here, now at 160, 170 supply, but now everything is getting caught in the back, and Hellraiser will be forced to tap out. Lambo takes a clean